Hi, my name is Matt. I'm 19 years old. I use he, him pronouns and I identify as a transgender man. Uh, I grew up trans in Texas, which is definitely an experience in itself. And I wanted to share my coming out experience publicly because I think that the fact that I came from a conservative state, a conservative town, conservative region. I had conservative Republican traditionalist parents, and I ended up with kind of a fairy tale ending to my story. So I think that that's not very much publicized. I think unfortunately we do hear a lot of really sad stories, and I want mine to be out there for the kids who think that maybe coming out to their conservative parents or to their, traditional family is going to be a lot harder, because it can be hard, but it can also turn out okay. I actually came out on accident at first. My dad came in my room and he did that thing where parents do, where they kind of knock on the door but they don't really wait for you to respond. He just walked in. I got really freaked out because all the tabs I had open on my computer were trans guy things. The video I was watching was a trans guy, and I was worried that if he saw that, he was going to get freaked out, or he was going to ask me a lot of questions, and I didn't want to answer any of them, so I just really quickly didn't know what else to do. I didn't shut down I just shut my computer as fast as I could. I was just freaked out. And he saw me for sure, and he was like, "What are you doing? Why can't you? I see what you were doing on the computer." And when your teenager's on the computer and then freaks out, means they're probably not up to anything that they should be up to. So, he was all like, "I don't know why you can't show me, you ought to be able to show me, I'm your dad." And so he kind of started coming at me, and I tried to deflect, and I tried to, argue with him about "No, it's fine, don't worry." And I just kind of got in this panic, and I just, all of a sudden I had a lot of things going on in my brain at once, and I just blurted out, "I think I'm a guy." And he was really confused. He was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I think I'm a guy. I think I'm transgender. I think I'm trans. I think I was born in the wrong body. I think I'm a boy." And he just looked so confused. Oh boy, he just he looked at me for a little bit, and he wasn't really sure what to say, so he just walked out. And then I remember he left the room. I remember the next day, my mom, when I saw her, she said, "You have an appointment with your therapist." And I was actually really grateful that they had done that. I went to the therapist, and thankfully, because I had been seeing her for a year or two at that point, she understood where I was coming from. This wasn't the first time that, she'd noticed, I'm a masculine person. These things are, here about my life. I'd come out once as with my sexuality to my parents, so it was a little different. We sat together and we kind of figured out what should we do, and I told her about how just one thing I really wanted is I wanted to get all these points across. There were certain things I wanted to say to my parents that I was afraid I wouldn't get to say because maybe they'd interrupt midpoint, or they'd interject something before I get the chance to move on to something else that's also really important. So she had me write out a little script and a little letter, basically is what it was. It was just a piece of paper I wrote down all the things I wanted to say. I wanted to tell them about how I figured this out, why I feel this way, what it means, and what I want to do, and and I wrote it all out on a piece of paper, and I walked out to the living room. I sat my parents down, and I told them, I have a piece of paper here that has a lot of things that I really want to say. I know it's going to be really hard for you to sit here and listen to them, but please, if you will, just sit here and listen to them. And they did. They heard me out the entire time. And by the time I got to the end of the paper, I was crying. My mom was crying. My dad was crying. I was crying because I didn't realize in my letter how much I talked about just how much I was unhappy and how much I was so full of self-hate. And I remember basically I was describing my dysphoria to them. I didn't know that's what it was, but that's what I had done, is I had told them about my dysphoria and how much I just felt like I was so unaligned with where I was physically. And they did not understand that really at all. They didn't really understand a single bit of it. They just cried and they said, "We will try our best." I mean, they didn't really seem supportive, but they were willing to try. And I think that was the greatest thing I could have ever experienced. I was not shut down by my parents. I was not told no. I wasn't told, you don't understand, you're too young, you have no idea, gender's not something you can have a concept of. And I think that was probably one of the best things about my coming out, was that my parents didn't say no. They didn't say yes to anything, but they just said that they'd try.